We are on chapter 16. We're talking about mammals, and we got to the marsupials, which are pouched mammals. There's 270 species, and they're all identified by an abdominal marsupium pouch where their young are raised. They give birth to very tiny, immature young babies that have to be kept in this pouch. In fact, the young of a mouse opossum is the size of a grain of rice. Can you imagine that? The young are kept for protection and nourishment by the mother's milk until they are large enough to move around on their own. Nearly all of these marsupials, they're going to be living in Australia, except for the opossum, which opossums live throughout the United States and throughout all of Americas down in South America. So here are a lot of the different marsupials, from the opossum to the wombat to kangaroo. All of these here you can see. We're going to go over a few of these. So even down to the Simba, which is a marsupial, and these are all in Australia except for the opossum. Marsupial. Let's talk about kangaroo. The kangaroo is the largest living marsupial. Of course, it's in Australia. The red kangaroo can weigh up to 200 pounds and be over 8 feet long. The males grow their entire lives, but the bigger they get, the less they move. So they're not as agile when they get really big. But they hop on these powerful hind legs when they're pursued with speeds up to 30 and 40 miles an hour. 30 to 40 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. Kangaroos on 2 legs are more efficient than 4-legged animals at the same speed. So the back legs are very, very strong. Many seem clumsy at first, but they're built to carry these large body masses in such a hurry very quickly. Some can go for long periods without water too. And most of them live in arid deserts, especially in Australia and in the outback areas. And they conserve water by concentrating their urine and resting in the heat of the day. Okay, then there's the marsupial opossum. And only this marsupial lives outside of Australia. So in fact, this is a Virginia opossum, and it's the size of a cat. And they're pretty ugly. They're hairless, ears and tail looks kind of like radish to me, with the tail that it doesn't have hair on it. And after the young opossums mature in their mother's pouch, they cling to her back. Here's a picture of them clinging to her back. Usually they have acting ability. They're great actors. That's what they play possum. When you're playing a possum, you're playing dead, right? They play dead by going limp all over with their eyes shut and their tongue hanging out. And then when the attacker comes, they lose interest into them. They think they're just dead, And so as soon as they leave, they pop up. They run away. So they know how to play dead. They're seldom seen because they're nocturnal. They usually come out only at night. And they eat about anything, insects, and they eat dead carrion, so there can be scavengers, so possums. Then we have a marsupial called a wombat. And the wombat is pretty big. Look at this huge wombat. I thought they were small, but look how big they are. 47 inches and 86 pounds. And it's the best digger among all the all the mammals, I should say. Very thick body with little or no tails, or their legs are very short and strong. Their toes are armed with stout claws to dig through anything, like a tank. They resemble like a woodchuck or groundhog. They kind of look like a groundhog, a giant groundhog. And they're described as a tank. They dig through the terrain. I said that already, but the fallen trees and cut ditches and all these things. They cut right through all of these area, their environment. If they didn't have a pouch, they would fit into the rodent family, but they have a pouch like marsupials. Their incisor teeth are sharp and they grow continually, kind of like a rabbit's tooth. Right there's a picture. Those are wombats. Then we have the marsupials called a numbat. What's a numbat? Well, a numbat or banded anteater, because they, of course, eat ants. It's like a squirrel size. Like, they look like squirrels. Look at these baby ones looking like squirrels. They inhabit eucalyptus forests in Australia and in the sandy deserts of Western Australia too. So both in the forest and in the desert. That they're diurnal, which means they're unlike other marsupials because they sleep at night instead of, so they come out in the day, kind of like a squirrel. And they basically make their beds in the beds of leaves or in a hollow log. I have a hollow log. They have 6 to 7 white stripes on them, and their mid-back and their base. You can see how they're striped right here. You see these stripes, and look at underneath their eye. They have a dark cheek stripe that runs through their eye, and a white line above their above and below. You can see with a white line, and they're noted for that. You can see a picture up here. There's a good picture. The body fur is short and coarse, and their tails long and bushy, and they have long pointed snouts and small mouths. Their tongue is like 4 inches long, so they can get in and get those termites and ants and the rotting logs and the soil. That's what they eat. They love to eat ants and termites. Numbats also love to eat termites. I just said that, over 200 or 20,000 of them a day. Can you imagine eating 20,000 termites a day? So they're kind of a cleanup crew for termites because there's lots of ants and termites to eat. Numbats use their strong claws to scratch into the decaying logs and their long snout as a lever. Right here you can see how their snout's long. They swallow smaller termites whole, but they chew those larger ones, and they have 52 feet, 52 teeth. More than any other animal. 52 feet, oh my goodness. But 52 teeth, they have a lot of teeth. So it's kind of know how important ants can be. There's 2,000 species of termites or white ants, and there's 8,000 species of ants. And termite mounds may measure up to 20 feet high. In Africa, Asia, South America, Australia, see how these are in Australia, these huge ant mounds. And scientists estimate there's 100 quadrillion ants and termites in the world. Here's 100 quadrillion. God's provision for ant-eating animals such as reptiles, amphibians, and birds and mammals. You see that? A lot of them eat ants. And so they keep the ant population under control because they're eating ants. I just think it's so amazing how God has put all of these animals and different species and different kinds of, and they keep track. Can you imagine if we didn't have animals that ate ants? Our whole world would be overrun by those creatures, little creatures, as pests, But hey, we have anteaters. So that's it with marsupials. I think that's the last. Yep, that's the last. So we'll go on. This is a short video. We'll go on to the next video in a bit, and there'll be another type of mammals.